when, or late that night it was, not actually next morning because it's after midnight probably. And we saw another one, and I saw the other man. I recognized him right off. So they said, then I found out who these two men was. They was the press secretary to Johnson, and Kennedy, who was his press secretary, and later they went with Johnson. Now, as I say, I cannot swear on my life that that was Tom Johnson and Bill Moyer, but I will do this. I will say they sure the hell look like them. They got twins out there, if that wasn't them, because I had good eyes then, and I just thought that was them. But I can't swear that it was. Now, I don't want you to get the wrong impression of this. I'm not saying that was Tom Johnson, Bill Moyer. I'm saying this, that if they was in a lineup, and if I was going to pick them, those are the two men I would have picked. And I might have been wrong. I don't know. And my wife said, what can we do about this? What can we do about this? And I said, baby, I said, you got to quit this shit. I said, we can't do nothing about this. I said, for one thing, we got a death on us right now out of Manhattan. And I said, for the other thing, we got shit waiting on us there. So what are we going to do? I said, you tell me what you want to do. And she said, let's just go hide. And she was kind of sad because she loved Kennedy. And so I went over and I held her and I said, baby, I said, I didn't mean to be mean or horrid, but you got to realize that right now we got all kinds of money put on our ass out of New York. And I said, we walk out there, we got a million police is waiting on us. I said, we haven't got no choice, baby. I said, let's go. So we spent quite a few years in hiding. And I wanted to get this all out of my mind and let people know what happened. And I'll also say this, that Mexican had something to do in Dallas. I don't know what. And I think his best friend was in Dallas, and I think we're talking about Oswald. And I think we're talking about Jack Ruby. That's what I think we're talking about. And because I knew Jack Ruby, and he was very easy to meet Oswald and find out his Russian background and everything, and he would have been picked right off. And that's why I say, y'all, think about this. And in my opinion, it's only my opinion, that Jack Ruby knew about it before he ever shot Oswald. And I think Oswald was only a patsy. I think the shells was left there. And I think that Oswald never was on that third floor. I don't think he was. He might have been. But my idea was that Oswald was a patsy on it, and Ruby was an enforcer to get it done. And Cohen, I don't know exactly what he had, but if it was nasty and mean, Cohen would be involved. I want to add something that I was keeping inside of me that I think is very important, and I think the proof can be brought up that this happened. Okay, the morning that we was decided to run, the morning that Kennedy got killed, it was early in the morning, about 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and we was ready to take off. And this was a delay of a day and a half that I was setting in mind. It scared to go anywhere until they thought that I was on the way to Waco. At that time, I was supposed to be somewhere across the Texas line, probably 100, 175 miles from Waco. And so my wife was talking to me the day before. She says, James, she says, there's one thing you got to do. We got to call and notify Fort Worth. And I said, I said, Jeannie, I said, please. I said, we just better take off to save ourselves. And she says, I don't want to save myself. If somebody's going to get killed, if I can help them. And so she says, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go get the number for you of the police department. And before we leave in the morning, you go call and just tell them what you know. So the next morning come around, and I was really hating it. But it's one thing I want to say before this, is in that hotel room in New York, before that, when Miller and Eckert was talking to me, I mentioned to them, I said, well, who are these guys that I'm going to be picking up? And Miller looked at me and said, you know them. He says, you'll recognize them. We don't need to give you no names. You'll know them when you see them. Well, at that time, I thought it was somebody out of Manhattan, And then he says, you'll recognize them when you see them. And only one I could think of that could pull this job and legally get by with it is Herbert Echo. He was a gunman. And John Argo. I spoke of him before. And John Argo was from Keokuk, Iowa, and Chicago. They lived both places. Herbie was the same. Both of them was what they call torpedoes. They hit the big time. We're talking about, they would hit a president if there was enough money there. They would hit anybody. And I knew this. I knew both of them very good, and none of them, not either one of them, was scared to death, because they probably faced it 20, 30 times in their life. And so my wife and I were talking about that night before. We said it's probably Herbie and John is going to do the shooting, and that's who we was going to pick up. And I thought, well, they're going to get killed. And, well, what I'm saying, that if anybody needs to be shot, is Herbie Echo and John Argo, because they killed enough people in their life. And so it didn't bother me too much that once I figured out it was them. And I thought it was just some millionaire out of the stockyards or something that they owed Frank lots and lots of money, and they would go do something like that. Or it could have been several of them that owed him the money, and they was going to make something out of one of them to make the others pay up. Now that's what was on my mind. And so I told my wife, I said, go ahead and get the number, and I'll call, and I'll verify through Fort Worth. Now, the police knows that that call come in that morning. And so about 7:30, I went to the phone booth, and it was kind of chilly, kind of cold, and so I dialed the operator. I told her to connect with this number in Fort Worth. So she connected me, and it rung. And so the operator said, deposit so many dollars. And so I was depositing all the quarters I had and the change. And I lacked 25 cents, or I lacked like 10 cents to complete the money on the coin box.